So him having the social commentary, like him stepping into the shoes of like a Chuck D or a KRS-One, who, those are my fucking guys, So I'm just like, wow, like Jeezy, like he evolved as an MC. 2008, the economy crashes, Wall Street panics, and somewhere in the middle of it all, Young Jeezy drops The Recession, a soundtrack for the struggle. But was this Jeezy at his peak or just perfect timing? Was this his most complete body of work or another entry in a catalog built on the same formula? We're talking hits, impact, and whether Jeezy really spoke for the people or just rode the moment. This is Rap in Order. Dun dun.
Welcome to another episode of Rap in Order. I'm First Class Regg.
And I'm Taurian B.
We're back. Next time that you see us, might look a little different around here, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Gotta move soon, so we gotta figure out the setup for how things are gonna look. It might look a little different.
Yeah, man. This is lots of memories in here.
Yeah, man.
This has been, if you've been in tune with us for a bit, you've seen how the changes in the back with the records and everything, that won't change. So it's like you probably won't even notice, but if you've been a long time viewer, you'll notice some subtle changes.
Mm-hmm.
How's everything?
Everything is good, man. Besides, getting ready to like move barely, like all I've really done is like close.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to figure out how to take this apart because I don't think I can get this to the door.
Oh, yeah. But I think, I remember when you first got it though, because it used to be, wasn't there a middle part?
Yeah, there's a middle part. Yeah, so it's extending and shit like that. So I got to like figure it out.
Easy.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But besides that, nah, man, I just got back from a trip to Dallas. Dallas was cool. The weather wasn't what I expected, so we didn't get to do as much. Like we went around, I went to see where Kennedy was shot.
Of course.
I did that because I love history. I went to we took Maverick to the zoo. We went to the Dallas Museum of modern art or whatever like that. So that was really cool because their museum is pretty dope. They have a mall there that has some of the dopest art installations I've ever seen.
Okay.
And we ate lots of barbecue. So we went to one place called the Pecan Lounge and then another place called Terry Black. And had barbecue. I didn't get any Tex-Mex out there because Sarah said that's not real Mexican food. If we're not getting real Mexican food, then she don't want it.
Why not? Yeah.
So we didn't get to have any of that, but we did that stuff, and we were there with Sarah's family. Good time. The Marriott that we stayed at was really nice. We stayed at the Marriott Renaissance. It's fucking dope because the entire lobby actually looks like the set here.
Yeah.
So that was dope. And yeah, besides that, it was cool. We had intentions to drive to Austin for one day, but it was a 3-hour drive, and I was like, yo, 3 hours. So basically total driving 6 hours. So I was like, damn. That's pretty ambitious of me, and I'm not a spring chicken no more.
Yeah, I feel it.
So we wound up, but it still was a really great trip. Mav charmed everybody, so everybody's in love with me.
So y'all went to Gus's.
Oh yeah, and we went to Gus's and had Gus's fried chicken because wherever there's a Gus's fried chicken, we gonna eat some fried chicken.
So what's typically your sides? Do you do the baked beans or?
I do. I get collard greens and mac and cheese. Yeah.
So for those that are listening and viewing, there's a spot that we discovered. I feel like we kind of discovered them low key. I'm not gonna lie, because ever since then, they got more locations because they're in Cali now.
Yeah, they're in California. They have more locations. So I learned that when we were in Memphis, that's where Gus's originated. So that's where Gus's is from. So yeah, I don't know what their recipe is for their fried chicken, but man, it's addicting.
Crispy as fuck.
Yeah, man, crispy as fuck. Great taste. It's really good. But what's up with you?
Yeah, no, man. I checked out. I checked out this Michael movie.
Okay, we getting straight into it. Yeah. Let's go.
I checked out the Michael movie, and I know you did too. You checked it out a couple of days before me. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. So if you grew up with Michael Jackson or a Michael Jackson fan, I think you'll find a lot in this that you'll enjoy, but you won't discover much new if you're a Michael Jackson.
Yeah, so I didn't learn anything new about Michael Jackson. But what I think the movie kind of like just gave us like answers to like mysterious questions about Mike that people didn't know. And it was like really subtle. So like, there's one scene where Joe calls him Big Nose.
Yeah.
And so like, okay, you understood like, okay, like he has like something about his nose and he gets the nose surgery. The stuff with his skin, you know, like what a nurse says, you know, a lot more people have it than you think. Like that was something that was like really subtle, or like showing like him pretty much feeling like smothered by his family and always feeling like an outsider. So there were like subtle things that they showed that like weren't shown his other depictions that kind of gave you like a taste of who Michael was.
Yeah.
And I think hence the movie being called Michael. So but did you hear about like the reshoots that they had to do?
Yeah, they did about 10 to $15 million worth of reshoots.
Yeah. And Antoine Fuqua wasn't there for the reshoots.
So I did see that, but somebody dispelled that. I was like, no, that's a lie. Like he was there.
Okay. Yeah. They said he was shooting from the van though.
They said that he was shooting from the van, but that's what they dispelled.
Okay.
They said that he was there.
That he was there completely. Good. Okay, good. So I saw that like pretty much they had to cut. The reason why The Wiz isn't included is because they had to cut out the 70s pretty much. So like him, when he moved to New York to live with his sister LaToya and going to like Studio 54 and kind of like having like his first like taste of freedom away from like his dad, they had to cut that out, right? So then I heard that like they also cut out a lot of stuff that they shot like, from what I'm assuming is that they kind of shot like pretty much up to like 94 because they said like there's Dangerous era stuff that they have in there as well. So they had him performing Man in the Mirror at the Grammys that year, the year when he didn't win any awards for Dad, but like he performed at the Grammys. It was a really powerful performance. They said that they had more interactions with Quincy Jones. And they showed like kind of like the tension that brewed between him and Quincy.
I was just about to say, I wish I would have got a look at that. I've seen Quincy talk about it a million times about the tension between him and Mike at that time, but
right. Yeah. So, you know, like there were certain things, and then obviously like interactions with his siblings. So they didn't even like they mention them, but they don't even say like who each one is.
I was just gonna say like you took the words right out of my mouth because like I was gonna say there's no distinction of who's who. Like if you don't really know this family, you don't know who's
right. And I thought that was funny because so I bought the Jackson American Dream DVD. So me and Sarah watching it last night. So there's a scene where Catherine, Miss Jackson, literally says each one of their names. And like they look up, so you know who, like you can distinct who is who.
Yeah.
And I thought that was funny as shit. I was like, wow, like the Jackson American Dream, like I know like we love it and it's nostalgic, but like I think that people don't understand how good of a TV movie that shit was and how well it was shot.
I would love to. I gotta watch that again too.
I'll let you borrow mine because right now I believe it's on YouTube and Tubi, but it left Tubi. So I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty glad that I thought to buy the DVD before it sold out because on Amazon it said there was only a few left anyway. But yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought that Jafar did an amazing job.
He did a really good job.
Coleman,
really good job.
Coleman Domingo is fucking hilarious.
Yo, he killed it though. He killed it. The way he was walking, everything.
Yeah,
he had the mannerisms down packed. Man.
Right, and Nia Long too. Shout out to Nia Long. She did a great job. As
she did
Catherine.
a good job with what she was given.
Right, because I think Catherine Jackson, like, you know, I think Angela Bassett's portrayal was more realistic of her because I definitely think that she spoke up. I don't think that she was just like this quiet.
It's like, yo, stop, do that.
Right, so that's what I definitely agree. So I think so. Like that was something that like I really wanted to like get into. But while we are discussing this, what's your favorite Michael Jackson album?
My favorite one is Off the Wall.
Okay, so let me reword. What do you think is Mike Jackson's best album? Because I guess it's a difference, right? Your favorite and the best. What do you think is his best album?
It's hard not to say Thriller.
It's very easy.
It's a layup.
Bro, it's easy to say that Thriller's not because, bro, Thriller's not his best album.
What's his best and what's your favorite?
His best album is Bad and my favorite album is Bad.
All right, why is Bad his best for you?
Bad is his best album because for me personally, that was him, that was peak Michael Jackson. That was him at the pinnacle of his stardom. And I think that his vocal range at that time was pristine. And I feel like him and Quincy Jones both were at the top of their games, because you gotta remember, like, Quincy Jones put out Q's Block, and he won he won Grammys for that project.
Yeah.
So I just think that what Michael Jackson was doing with blending rock and roll, pop, R&B,
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of, like, small hints of hip hop,
just a smidge,
just a smidge,
yeah,
because it was like on the horizon. What he did with that was incredible to me. And I guess maybe because of my age, I would say that, like, his moments from Bad are probably some of, like, his most, like, iconic, like, even, like, his, like, outfits and stuff like that. But, like, musically, like, 5 #1 hits off that album, bro. And he probably could have kept going. Like, think about it. The first single from that is I Just Can't Stop Loving You, right? And I don't know if you noticed, but Whitney Houston was supposed to be on that project, but Arista blocks her from doing it because they didn't want her to be, because Michael was so famous. They didn't want it. They thought Michael would overshadow her, what she was doing, right? So that song is the first single off the album. Also, I gotta say this: I think that Michael's choices for his first singles off his albums, he does terrible with.
Yeah, he does.
Right?
I was just gonna say, just when you said I Can't Stop Loving You was the first one, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Because he had
think about
what was
this.
it? The Boy Is Mine?
The boy,
or the girl is mine?
the girl is mine.
Yeah.
Off of
Brandy up there.
Yeah. Nah, it was the girl is mine with Paul McCartney for Thriller. Right?
Yeah.
So look, 5 #1 singles off of Bad. You got I Just Can't Stop Loving You, Bad, The Way You Make Me Feel, Man in the Mirror, Dirty Diana. That was the first album to ever do that, right? And just think about the other songs that he had on. Like, he had Liberian Girl on that project, bro.
That's one of my favorite Mike songs, actually.
Yeah, like, come on, brother. Like, I'm just all I'm saying is just videos. That, yeah. I'm just saying, bro, like, you got Smooth Criminal. Yeah. Smooth Criminal wasn't a fucking single, bro.
Yeah, Smooth Criminal
wasn't a single. Dirty Diana was a single. That was the 4th single off the album. All I'm saying is just that, like, I strongly feel that Bad is his best album. People gonna say Thriller because it's the highest grossing selling album of all time, right? Bad is his second highest selling album, and it got capped because I really feel like they kind of sabotaged him, like how we're like with all of that. Like, he got snubbed at the Grammys, even though Joshua Tree by U2 is a great album.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna knock Joshua Tree.
I think partially Bad, because when you look at when Bad came out, the amount of things that were attached to it, how different he looked.
Yeah.
Because Thriller was 82, Bad was 87. So it was a 5-year gap between albums.
And he was a recluse during that time. Yeah. Like, he gave no interviews. Nobody could see him, and then he pops out and he looks like a white man.
Yeah, and he looks different. It was just like, imagine that happening today.
Imagine Drake pop out and be dark skinned.
Yeah, and it's just, and he's just like, what? Like, what do y'all mean? Just gaslighting everything. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? But that was an incredible album. The videos, everything, the treatment for it, his whole reinvented look, not his skin tone, but like the way he dressed, everything. So it was iconic. It was great.
I strongly feel like Bad is his best.
But let's not forget about Dangerous.
Dangerous is a good album.
Dangerous is a really good album.
Dangerous has some skips.
I think it's a little,
Teddy Riley did his thing on that project, right? Yeah. And I really, 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 really like Dangerous as well.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, it has like some skips. Like, I'll keep it because I don't have the track list in front of me. Pull up Thriller. Thriller has 2 skips.
The Girl Is Mine, and what else?
The Girl Is Mine, and I'm gonna keep it a stack with you, bro. I don't ever listen to Thriller, the song.
Okay.
Tell me
it's bigger. There's a lot of albums like that, though, where like the single is so big that it's like, yo, I don't ever need to listen to this.
I also don't listen. I don't listen to Baby Be Mine.
What?
I don't.
Baby Be Mine is such a fun song.
It is a fun song.
Yeah, it's just such a fun song.
And I hate the fucking album cover.
Really?
I hate that shit.
I love this album cover.
Oh, man.
I didn't realize till recently somebody pointed it out on Twitter that he's wearing that shirt, that black shirt is a zip-up.
Yeah, it's a jacket. Yeah. I think he got it from the photographer or something like that. He said, "Hey, let me wear that. It looks cool."
Like, and he tucked that shit in.
He tucked it in. Come on, man. Nah, man.
But getting back to the
but I get it. I just think that Off the Wall is great, and it's very R&B based. It's very disco, right? But I have to when I listen to Off the Wall, like I'm like cleaning the house or something like that. Like it's nostalgic for me. But Bad feels like it could be dropped at any given time. Off the Wall, I'm pretty sure some people want to say like any time, whatever like that. But I feel like Off the Wall sounds like the era that it came out in. Bad could have been dropped at any time.
That's true. I can understand that distinction. I just think Off the Wall for the chemistry that Quincy and Mike was building.
It was raw.
With this being their first album together was just, it was purely raw. It was out the gate. And I see what Mike was going for, like clear as day. And I like that they touched on that in the movie too.
Okay.
In the movie, what I really did like was them letting us into how his creative process was. The sticky notes, all right, let's call this, him humming certain things and, whistling and mumbling lyrics before he jots them down and all of that stuff. Him saying his mantra before.
I thought that was cool. Saying like his like words affirmation to like build himself up because I've noticed
really
that. I noticed that like a lot of like artists do that. Like just people in like prominent famous people in general, like Mike Tyson. They said we'll do that. Like, say I'm the smartest. Like that shit that he said in that rant where he went on where he was like, I'm Alexander. I'm the best ever. They said that Cus D'Amato would say those things to him and then he would repeat it back to himself. Eddie Murphy would say that I'm really funny, I'm the best ever. I'm the funniest comedian. Like they said that like the greats have to use these words of affirmation because it's like you have to believe it. You have to so you can become it.
Yeah.
So I think that was really dope. But I say all of that to say, yes, I think that Bad is Michael Jackson's best album. Some people are going to say Thriller. Some people are going to say Off the Wall shit. Some people might even say Invincible. I don't know. But
who would say Invincible?
Some people
Invincible's good. But
there's some people that really like Invincible. The shit.
There's skips on there.
And there's some Dangerous fans. But I can make the argument that Bad is his best album, top to fucking bottom.
It's crazy. It feels like Mike had more solo albums than he actually did.
Yeah. I agree. It's just that like think about that. Like you would have thought like he dropped the album every year, but like no, it's just that like his songs just live on. Think about this. There's children that are fans of Michael Jackson that never like seen him moonwalk.
Yeah. There's a 4-year gap between Bad and Dangerous.
Yeah, bro.
4 years apart. And then History in 95 and then 2001.
Right. And think about History was the greatest hits album.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, come on.
Yeah.
Like that's that. But
a lot of goats.
Yeah. All right. So talking about one goat, let's talk about another goat. Beyonce's Lemonade is
just
10
celebrated 10 years.
It's celebrated 10 years, right? So like 10 years later, which is crazy. Like I remember like watching that shit. Remember our homegirl Chantel?
Yeah.
Chantel was here and we watched it together. Like we watched it and like she took like notes and like reviewed it on Twitter and everything. So like I remember like watching that shit and like thinking to myself like, wow, like she really airing out Jay-Z.
Yeah. It's crazy because, if she aired out Jay-Z with how people feel about Jay-Z now, where they looking for reasons to not fuck with him, it would be so off him today. It just wouldn't fly today if she did that.
I agree with you. Like it's interesting to me because I wonder during that process, like did Jay hear it after it was finished, or like after it was done, or did he get to hear it throughout the creative process? Like or like was Jay like quiet? Like yeah, that's good.
I think that it was that. Like I feel like they have to have a studio in the house, right?
I would assume so.
Yeah,
I would assume so. I don't know, bro. Like it's just
like what's she doing? I wonder what she's recording, and we would hear some.
Or do you think like like he sees a dream? He's like, yo, how's everything going? The dream's like, yo, not right now.
Yeah, not right now. I don't think you really want to fuck with her right now. We'll talk about it later.
That's
some
funny.
other time.
That is funny. Okay. Did you see Complex's 100 hottest rappers right now list?
They released a new one?
They released a list, yeah. So let me see if I can find it for you. I'll pull it up for you. Yeah, they released a new one. And I have two big issues with the project, with that the list.
There's always an issue.
It's literally 100 rappers on there, and Wale and Chance the Rapper are not on the list.
Like at all?
At all. And it's the hottest. It's not the most skilled rappers. It's not the best selling rappers. It is the 100 hottest rappers right now. And for the life of me,
what's the credentials?
Okay, let's see. Let's look it up. Let's see what it says. These are the hottest 100 rappers as of May 24th, 2026, focusing on cultural impact, output, and anticipation, rather than pure lyrical skill or quality of their music.
So I think with that, I can see why Chance the Rapper's not on it.
You want
to put out a good album. He put out a really good album that won a lot of people back over it. But that doesn't make sense with those credentials for Wale to not be on there. He literally has the #1 song on urban radio right now.
Right. That so, a lot of people Wale actually did really good. He didn't say a word. Klass, who's like a really close friend of his, said something like, yo, come on, like this is now it's obvious. Like it's apparent like y'all fucking with him.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm just gonna list off the top 10.
Okay.
So number 10 is Baby Keem. Baby Keem. Number 9 is Ye. Number 8 is Jay-Z.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I found that. I think that one. I don't think he should be on the list because it's like he hasn't even outside of his interview with.
Bro, he did an interview
with GQ.
and then he blocked tickets to go see him. That's it.
Travis Scott is 7. Don Toliver is 6.
Yeah,
I'm coming toward I'm getting there. I'm getting better with Don Toliver.
I wouldn't even call Don Toliver a rapper. He's not a rapper.
He's considered a rapper, bro. Excuse me, right? Octane is moving,
man. It really is.
Yeet. Now I couldn't tell you a Yeet song to save my life. I don't know anything about Yeet.
Yeet does numbers.
Only Yeet I know is Jay Uso. That's seriously, right? Number 4 is NBA broke. Young Boy never broke again. I'm a tongue twister. NBA, I thought it was NBA Young Boy, but it's Young Boy never broke again. Right? Number 4, obviously, you can guess who is in the top 3. So number 3 is Kendrick Lamar. Number 2 is Drake. And number 1 is J. Cole.
Yeah. Interesting. So why? I guess, yeah. That makes sense that J. Cole be number 1 right now.
J. Cole being number 1 makes sense. Even though I'm not a listener of them, I do think that Yeet, NBA Youngboy, and Don Toliver should be above Drake and Kendrick Lamar.
I don't see why Drake hasn't dropped anything. He
has anticipation. Right. So for me, I'm just like, all right, like Kendrick Lamar's coming off one of his best years. So like he's like tailing off, but he's still like, talked about. So my assumption is like they also went off like who's like the most searched, who's the most streamed and things like that. And then that does put Drake in there. But I still think that because like they don't have like current songs out, I think that would I would put Drake and Kendrick Lamar in the 4 and 5 slot and then move up Yeet and NBA Youngboy. And I guess I would put them in the 5 and 6 slot. Yeah. So I would put Drake in 6, Kendrick in 5, Yeet and yeah, Yeet, NBA Youngboy, Don Toliver, and then put J. Cole.
Yeah, man.
Don Toliver's like as ever since we've done that Don Toliver episode,
yeah,
he's become more of a prominent figure in music to me.
Yeah.
So I that's why I say Don Toliver is up there.
He absolutely is. It's just I don't know if I categorize him as a rapper.
Okay.
It's just one of those subcategory things that we have to figure out.
I do because sometimes they try to fucking say Frank Ocean's a rapper. So
it's just like, nah, like what? And he ever since his album came out, he stays in the top 5 on the charts. This is like across all genres.
Right. That's
number 4.
Dope.
This album came out in January.
Okay. Beginning of the top of the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I think him being really high is a good one. So are you okay with Cardi B being 11?
So I think Cardi should be in the top 10.
You think Cardi should replace Jay?
Yes.
I can agree with that too.
I'm okay. Yeah, Cardi should definitely. She just did a sold out tour.
She just broke like records. Like Lil Uzi Vert, I haven't heard. I didn't even know.
I haven't heard shit from Uzi.
Apparently, What You Saying is peaked at number 12 on the Hot 100. I never heard that song. I don't know. I'm old though. Future, okay, he's 12.
Future dropped 3 albums last year.
Yeah,
so
he's the kid. Pooh Shiesty, yeah, he's hot for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Playboy Cardi,
I can understand that. And number 6 in the top 20.
Rocky, okay.
Rocky being number 17 is interesting.
Rocky being above Tyler is interesting to me.
Yeah,
I think that's just currency bias. Gunna in 19, Doechii at 20.
number 20.
I think
make sense.
Yeah, like I said, I think sometimes Complex does things for controversy.
They do.
But yeah, like some of this stuff, like I'm like, okay, T.I., I think that's a good one. He should be listed. 21 Savage, Lotto behind 21 Savage. Haha, I see what they did there. Rod Wave, he probably should be higher. I thought the kids love Rod Wave.
They do. I guess it depends on the last time his album dropped and how well it did.
Yeah, shit. Lil Yachty was just at WrestleMania, man. Took out the gingerbread man. He was out there with my boy Trick Williams.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. So that's that. You know.
That's interesting. I agree with the number 1, but Cardi should definitely be in that top 10. Cardi B, that is. She should be in that top 10.
She should be in there.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I
can't.
Dropped
the album. She beat the sophomore Jinx.
She did.
Just wrapped up a tour.
She just wrapped up
over $70 million on the tour.
That's crazy. What that she did. That the tour. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think tour was going to do that.
Biggest
not some hater shit. I just didn't think so.
For a female MC, biggest selling tour for a solo female MC. I think was.
She did less. So not to bring Nicki into it, I'm really not going to do that. But like she did less shows. So I thought that was interesting. And let's see. We talked about that.
That probably inflated the numbers too, though, because people had less of a chance to see her.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true too. But we can get into this album now. We can get started.
Bet. All right. So, talking about hottest MCs, this guy has graced that list on occasion over the years. We're talking about Jeezy. We've always talked about how Jeezy has had a very unique career so far. I think nobody saw. I think Jeezy will even admit this, that he didn't see the longevity for himself in rap when he first debuted back in like 2004.
2004.
And with TM 101. So he had that, and he had the Boys in the Hood, and he was just bound to do something and be out here for as long as he has. But the album that we're getting into is The Recession. The Recession came out. It was like the perfect storm of album. Came out, and it was his 5th studio album. It came out in 2008, September 2nd. Album was supported by 5 singles, including Put On, featuring Kanye West, Vacation, Crazy World, Who Dat, and of course, My President, which featured Nas. That song was instrumental in Barack's election, as we know, and became the inevitable soundtrack for his victory. The album featured production from DJ Tone, frequent collaborator, Drummer Boy, Shawty Redd, another frequent collaborator, Justice League, and The Business, to name a few. Album debuted at number 1, selling over 200,000 copies in the first week. What are your thoughts surrounding this album?
I remember 2008. Like I thought the world was ending. Think about it. Like gas prices was insane. I remember like there was a day where they said that all gas stations were closing by 6 p.m. And like I was in Atlanta at that time. I was back and forth between here and Atlanta, but I remember the line to get gas was insane. So the fact and like the word recession kept being said, I was like, what the fuck is a recession? Like I happened to hear that, like, and then learning like, okay, like banks are collapsing, like people's homes are like being like foreclosed on, like the market is crashing. Like it was like my first time like feeling like an adult, because think about it, 2008, we would have, I didn't graduate college, but that was the year I was supposed to graduate college. So like that was like, me realizing like, oh shit, I'm really not a kid anymore. Like I need to know like what's going on with these things. And like hearing all of this news like was stressful because every day I'm thinking like, yo, what the fuck is next? Like what's going to happen in the world? Like what's going on? And I just remember just being like worried, right? So then when Jeezy was talking about making this project and speaking on the recession, it kind of seemed like you said, like the perfect storm. Like, okay, like this guy who, because, you know, being in the streets, you kind of have to know what's going on economically, right? Because you work in a supply and demand world. So him having the social commentary, like him stepping into the shoes of like a Chuck D or a KRS-One, who, you know, those are my fucking guys, you know? So I'm just like, wow, like Jeezy, like he evolved as an MC in this project. And it's a reason why like I hold this project in such a high regard because Jeezy was able to like pivot and take something and like kind of like go somewhere else with it, opposed to like basically staying in a place where like some people say a rapper like a Pusha T hasn't like really grown, right? Where like he challenged himself to do that, and Jeezy's not the most lyrical, but he was able to like basically talk about something that we all were experiencing. We all might have not sold bricks of coke and like got it at the lowest price, but we all felt the recession.
Yeah.
We all felt the recession and we all felt like a change needed to happen and we wanted to Barack Obama to get in office. So like Jeezy was kind of like a voice for us with this album and I'm really, really proud of him. I don't know the man, but I was proud of him in making this project because I think it was pivotal in him continuing his career.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you touched on something that's super accurate on this, where it was like, man, that was the first year that I had to realize that I was an adult. Like things were changing that year, like so much. Like I was talking to Valerie about that recently, just about 2008, just in general. Like, yo, what was 2008 like for you? We were just having a talk about it. And I was like, yo, like I remember I moved to New York that year, June 20th, 2008. I moved. I got here and before I could find like a consistent spot that I would live, you know, I was sleeping at my cousin's place on the air mattress before I could like figure it out, before I could get my own spot. And then a couple months later, you know, the recession, I can remember going to Golden Crust and them having like like a deal to kind of like give back to the community of like
you know, I've never ate at Golden Crust a day in my life.
Really? I mean, there's better Jamaican food, but it's
yeah,
like
I guess that's the thing. I usually go to Jamaican restaurants because I guess I was like a Jamaican chain restaurant.
Yeah, it was considered like the McDonald's of chain restaurants. So it's like, you know, we all know now in our grown age, if you want a good burger, you're not gonna go to McDonald's.
Right.
You go to a different spot. But Golden Crust has stepped it up along the way. But anyway, even then they had meals to kind of like, you know, help people in those situations and help people in tight situations, that's to say. But 2008 was really hard, you know, for me. And then fast forward to this album coming out in September and him having a song like My President is Black, even though, you know, as we know, Barack the inauguration wasn't until January and the election wasn't even until November. So this really carried into that. And then even Jay-Z hopped on the remix. I remember that.
Always stepping on notch.
Yeah. I was like, because that stood out to me for that reason. I was like, yeah. I do
wish Nas had a different flow in that project, though. I do wish he had a different flow in
It's one of those features, though, that I think I heard Joe Budden talk about this recently, where he was like, man, I didn't know for a long time that that Styles was on
Blowing Money Fast.
Blowing Money Fast.
Which is crazy. I love Styles' verse on it. Yeah, you usually don't get to that part.
A record is just so big that you don't get to that part. And I think for My President, the record was so big because of the chorus.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't even know Jeezy's verse, but the chorus is it just spoke to the times, you know, and whenever you hit with a record like that, it's out of here.
Right.
And then, but then another significant thing about this project, obviously, is the Kanye West feature on Put On. Right? Because this was around a time that we didn't really hear from Kanye because his mom passed. This was leading into 808s just 2 months later. So like we didn't hear from him. I remember when Kanye mom passed, I was like, I don't even think he's gonna make music again. How is he gonna make music again? And then this came out, and I was like, I lost the only girl in the world that know me best. That whole thing, because he was coming off of his engagement, he lost his mom, so it was like a double meaning in that. It was like, damn, like this is crazy. And then the beat from Drummer Boy.
I was in the car with L when I first heard that song. Like we played that song so many times, bro. Like it was just fucking incredible. Like I was just like, yo, this nigga Kanye is the best in the fucking world. Like I was just like, yo, you can't tell me shit about Kanye. At that point, I was like, nah, he's the best in the world, bro. Like
the way they just got it right, you know, it was just really good. And I think Jeezy always used to say when he first came out, he used to always downplay his skill as a rapper. And I don't know if you could say downplay it or it's just self-awareness, but he used to always be like, I'm not a rapper, I'm a reporter. Right. So
which is smart.
Yeah. He'd be like, I'm not a rapper, I'm a reporter. So this album is the pinnacle of that. Because you have an album called The Recession, where we're in the middle of that shit. And you speak into it and giving people from like all these different hoods, you giving them a voice. And you're literally just reporting on shit that's going on. You got songs like This Crazy World on here. Talking about the election, talking about the president. I think Bush is trying to punish us, sending a little message down to each and every one of us, like saying shit like that on here. It just really stood out. And I think,
isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
When we used to think that George W. Bush was, George Bush Jr. was the worst.
Yeah.
Out in the world.
Yeah.
And like now, we just be like, oh, look, he likes to paint and shit. And he sneaks Michelle Obama
some candy.
Like he's not, like, remember that
People
though?
forget about that.
Yo, we used to look at him like the devil, bro.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, like, nah, he was just a puppet. He didn't even really call the shots.
He didn't call the shots. He still was a terrible president. But we've just seen so much worse now that like we look back and it's like, bro, wow.
It was one point where I like legit, like I was like, yo, it's never gonna get no worse than that. And then you realize, like, damn, like he was just somebody of circumstance. That's it.
Yeah. I remember niggas threw shoes at him.
Right. Yeah. His reflexes was crazy.
Yeah.
So, all right, I have a question, right? So on his first two projects, like Shorty Red was prominent.
Yeah.
On this project, he only has one track because he was dealing with a murder case at the time. But I would like to make an argument that I think Drummer Boy gets a lot more out of Jeezy than Shorty Red.
Interesting. Shout out to Drummer Boy. We had him on the show.
Yeah, that's our guy.
Which was a really good episode for Paper Trail. But that's interesting. I would have to go back, but to your point, I really do like Drummer Boy's contributions to this album.
Yo, bro, like I feel like what his contributions are the skeleton of the album.
And DJ Tom too.
DJ Tom as well.
Yeah.
But Drummer Boy, I feel like kind of like laid the foundation down on this project.
Yeah.
And like is interesting to me also, right? Because as well, Paper Trail came out that year, and Drummer Boy was all over that. So Drummer Boy was really on his like ascension during that time. So I was just like thinking to myself, like, yo, man, like he really was doing this thing. Like, you know, so look, also the Carter 3 came out that year.
Yep.
808s and Heartbreaks came out later that year. And Nas's Untitled came out that year.
Yeah.
And The Game's LAX. Right. So we got these projects that came out and like they all kind of like in their own way talked about. Kanye was more personal. T.I. was more personal because he was kind of like reflecting on what he was going through.
Right.
But Wayne is Wayne. Right. Nas kind of was also kind of talking about the social commentary of what's going on, but in like a more radical way.
Yeah.
Like he was even more controversial and radical than Jeezy. But I do think that when I look back on 2008, obviously the Carter 3 came out. So that was like everywhere, right?
Monstrous.
Right. But I do think that The Recession kind of like, to me, is the most important album that came out that year.
It carried out the tail end of the year for hip hop albums. For sure.
You know, like when I think about 2008, I genuinely think that The Recession is the most important album that came out that year. Regardless of what you say, like, yes, 808s and Heartbreak came out that year. Yes. The Card 3 came out that year. I get it. Paper Trail came out that year. I understand, but the Recession, bar none, is the most important album.
Yeah, it just hit the nail on the head, man. It just, when you talk about representation in music or like soundtracks for the times, this is one of those albums.
Right.
You know, it's not just in the title, it's in the content. You know,
right.
Is there another album like that for you where it's like, this is a period piece, where it's like this is a representation of what this year was like?
It's two. Criminal Minded by Boogie Down Productions, and It Takes a Nation of Millions by Public Enemy. I'm pretty sure there's more current ones, but those albums, because I listen to them so much and like they're such like because of my parents' age that I always reference, because those gave me, as a kid, gave me social commentary like, oh, shit's real outside, but I'm a kid.
Yeah.
So I ain't gotta worry about that shit, but but yeah, like that was like my learning experience, like knowing that. And then I'm trying to think, is there like another album like as I got older that kind of like let me know that?
And the first one that came to mind for me is What's Going On, Marvin Gaye.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. Okay, you went further back than I did. Okay, cool. So now I don't feel like an old man.
When you went back with that one, that's
right.
That's the one.
Yeah, but that one, right? Definitely. I'm trying to think now. Like, I'm genuinely trying to think. Like, what project? Like, are there other projects? I think.
I know I sprung that one on you. You can come back. We come back to it.
No, that's cool. Yeah, but now I'm trying to think. I'm definitely sure that Mos Def has two of them.
Oh,
I definitely think Black on Both Sides.
Black on Both Sides for sure.
Absolutely, right?
And then what's the joint?
What is it? A New Danger or some shit like that?
Yeah, where he's wearing a mask.
That
New Danger.
And oh shit, Things Fall Apart by The Roots.
Yes,
we just did that project, right?
Yeah,
so I'm pretty sure like there's more artists that like did it, but I definitely know that Boogie Down Productions in the early 90s and Public Enemy, like they absolutely spoke to what was going on.
Great representations of those eras. But yeah, that's yeah, I think that hits the nail on the head of those. Right. But okay, so the album, speaking of hitting the nail on the head, you know, it opens with the Recession intro. And he had a quote on here that I wrote down. He said, "I didn't know gas was gonna be a bill," right? Yeah. Which is like today.
Right.
That just applies to 2026.
Gas is nearly $5 a gallon right now.
He said, I ain't know gas was going to be a bill. Like it just makes the intro timeless because unfortunately it makes it timeless. It just, and it's prophetic in a way, you know, but then the official stamp is Welcome Back. This album, also to note, it comes 2 years after the Inspiration album. That he dropped in 2006,
right? Which
was also well received.
It was well received, but like I wasn't feeling it like that.
It wasn't my favorite, but you know, I think up until this point, Jeezy just couldn't catch an L, so it was well received in that regard. This was his return. You know, 2 years apart, came back with a statement piece. How'd you feel about the Welcome Back joint?
Welcome Back is one of like my favorite songs, and like it was perfect. It was a great opener on the project. I could argue that, I know I'm about to like rush through everything, but follow me. From Welcome Back, I enjoy every song, and then I think once we get to Vacation, so from Welcome Back to Wordplay, straight through bangers, perfect, right? And then we get Vacation, Everything, Taking It There, and Don't Do It, ruin the album.
Yeah, Everything is a mess. Anthony Hamilton and Lil Boosie.
Yeah, those 4 songs, right, are not needed and could be removed.
Yeah.
Now, if you go from Wordplay to Put On, this album is certified, bona fide, without a doubt, classic.
Yeah, I also don't think Put On should have been as low on this album as it is.
Yeah, it probably should have been placed higher.
It could have been placed as number 2.
Okay. So it could have. So you mean number 3? So you think Welcome Back and then Put On?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think the way that Put On comes on just sounds like the intro to an album. It sounds like a revival moment.
Okay, so I get what you're saying. So you're saying Put On be the intro and then Welcome Back after I Put On.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I love that.
I think that would have been great.
Yeah, I think the sequencing was this like this album was so good. Like I think people ignored that 4-song run that kind of messes it up for me.
Yeah.
But and then the placement of where Put On is so late in the album because you got to think about it. If let's say like Put On didn't become a radio single, right? And you're listening to the album and you get to Vacation, everything, taking it there and don't do it, you might not get to Put On.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. And then you got By the Way.
I love By the Way.
By the Way is good. It's it. And
it's
then he
so
reminds
cinematic.
you again in there. He reminds you in there. He goes, I ain't tripping. I just do this shit for fun, by the way. Like he's always like, yeah, nah, don't take me too serious.
Right.
Like this is just for fun and I do this shit because I can. Which is an easy out a lot of times for rappers, so you don't have to categorize them a certain way. Cam used to really do that. I think Cam leans more into like, yeah, I'm nice, nigga.
Yeah, I'm nice. I do this because I'm nice. Yeah, Jay-Z used to do that early on. I'm not a rapper. All that shit. Nah, motherfucker, you a rapper. Yeah. You rap.
It's
make this record.
It's some flexing.
Yeah.
And then you get into let's see here. I think is it What They Want?
After By the Way is Crazy World?
Oh, By the Way, sorry. So after By the Way is Crazy World. Crazy World is an amazing song.
Right.
Always love that song. Ain't no work, ain't no jobs. Like it's crazy how much that hits today.
Yeah, it does, man. Like this album really is one of those albums that like is going to continuously speak to what we're experiencing as long as we're dealing with this bullshit.
In this crazy world, like you swap out the president that he's talking about and it's just still relevant.
Yeah.
He's talking about Bush at the time, but you could put Trump in there and it still speaks to what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you got What They Want, another banger.
Yeah.
Right. Which I thoroughly, like I'm telling you, like I thoroughly enjoyed 1 through 11 of this project with no hiccups. And I was like, damn, I'm really gonna keep like when I'm like taking my notes and like looking at everything, I'm like, yo, I'm really gonna keep going. Like my biggest issue with this project is sequencing. That's it. Like I think
so too.
This album too many songs. And this is when this is before streaming. So like I'm like, damn, why he didn't need all these fucking records? Like, you know, I get that like they had different deals, Walmart, Target, different places and shit like that, but like it wasn't needed.
Yeah, yeah. And then I always like when Don Cannon contributes.
Circulate. Like there's a story behind that he said that like him and Drama, because at this time like this was right before like they kind of fell out. But like like he needed that song, like he had to hunt DJ Cannon down to get that. And I just thought that was fucking like I'm so glad they got that one because that sample is fucking great.
Yeah, it's funny. Circulate is funny because when you listen to that it's that last mixtape that he put out with Drama.
Is it Snowfall?
No, the one where it's like in the old nigga pocket, where he has like he raps over a bunch of samples, a bunch of old.
Okay, I know, I know which one you're talking about. I thought like Snowfall was before that, and I forgot what this one is called.
Snowfall was very well received.
Was this one called? Was that the one that's called Boston, George, and Diego?
Let me see. I'll tell you right now. It was Still Snowing.
Still Snowing, okay.
Still Snowing is what it was. And he rapped over a bunch of different, he rapped over Another Sad Love Song by Tony Braxton. He rapped over a lot of old school shit too.
Okay.
But people was acting like that's his first time doing that. But the first thing I thought of was Circulate off this. Because it's an old school vibe, samples Billy Paul's Let the Dollar Circulate. And I like when Jeezy's in that pocket, and it's more realistic for him to do it now. He's much older. I want
Jeezy to rap over some James Brown samples.
Everything about the tail end of his career right now says he would do that.
Yeah, he
dresses up everywhere. He just celebrated the TM101 anniversary. He dressed up. He had them playing the violins and shit. Like he did a whole show.
He's doing a Vegas residency with a live orchestra.
He's doing it with a live orchestra. He has everyone in attendance is recommended that y'all dress up. Like he's just older, man. And I think he's always kind of had that air to him too, especially after like you know, 2006 he was wearing like baggy shit and he had his own streetwear line. He was wearing Bathing Ape. Like he just grew up. He stepped it up.
Agreed.
Yeah. Wordplay. There's a duality on here that I really like. Being a rapper, yet, still being tied to the streets. That's the whole duality of it. It's like, oh yeah, I want me to just rap, but I still got a foot in this.
Yeah.
Which is always a duality with rappers that are out of the streets. And like you said, Vacation. How'd you feel about Vacation? Produced by the
I don't like it. I skip it. I think it's terrible. I don't like Vacation. I told you, it for me, Vacation, everything, taking it there, don't do it. I skip all 4.
Interesting, because I kind of like Vacation.
I don't like the
Vacation was when I was working at CBS at the time. So I would always say this, like when somebody be like, "Yo, you good?" I need a vacation. Like, it was just.
I get it. I just didn't. I just wasn't thrilled with that. That part.
It was it always spoke to how I felt
right
at that time. It was I wrote it down here like, that was my anthem.
Right.
Needed a quick getaway. That was it. Yeah. The last half of this album, I mean, we talked about Who Dat, Shorty Red. But the last half of this album starts to fall apart a little bit. Like you mentioned the Everything song with Anthony Hamilton and Boosie. I think it's just a bad collision. It's a bad collision. I don't like what Anthony Hamilton did on here. You gotta his voice is so distinct, you gotta use him a certain way. If you don't, it just falls apart. It doesn't sound good. I don't like it. And then Trey Songz. I don't really like Trey Songz on Taking It There. It's just
man. I think marketing kind of made us give Trey Songz more credit than he deserves.
I can agree with that.
Looking back on it.
Because the Ready album, I mean, he had a hot streak. Like I was saying, I just think that the last half of this, unfortunately, it just falls apart. I think the messaging, because you can't just have like a full-on messaging album without having some fun. So I get it. But I just think that this album doesn't really keep the streak that it needs to keep.
Yeah. I mean, like that middle part, man, just fucks it up. But it's still a great album, and for me, I think it's his best. But I know some people would disagree. Yeah, I think it's Jeezy's best album.
Wow. Okay. I don't think I've ever heard you say that.
Yeah. TM 101 is raw and it's fresh off of Trap or Die, and his momentum. But like the Recession is like Jeezy, he put his stake in the ground with that one, man. Like he planted his flag, bro.
Yeah.
And for me, the social commentary that he made, like just when you can pivot out of something that's like not in your lane and like make it your own, like and nobody like question it. Like nobody was like, oh, he getting political now, this and that. Like it just worked. And like I said, like these songs and the way that the album flows, it just like worked better for me. TM 101 Jeezy was raw. He wasn't as polished. And he was giving like thug motivation and stuff like that. And I get it. I enjoy it, but I'm not a drug dealer.
I feel that.
Like, like the Recession, I lived that. Like I understood what's going on. And now as a 39-year-old man, I understand it even more now. Yeah. So for me, that's where it worked.
I get that. I think Jeezy, I think what's cool about this album too is he didn't get stuck in being a political rapper.
He almost did. He almost did.
Yeah.
He almost did.
He didn't get stuck.
Himself past the young and shit like that.
Yeah, he did do that. He did start doing
wearing hard bottom shoes and shit, wearing glasses, dressing like Malcolm X.
Yeah, he didn't get stuck. He could have easily gotten stuck, but I'm glad he didn't, because he went on to tap back into what fans came to love him for.
Yes.
And what they expected from him from the beginning, just with refinement, You have anything else on this before we get into these?
To the rating? No. That's all. Jeezy got to the point where he made the Recession album where he had like a message to get out. And I think that it was a great message, and I think that he made an amazing project. and the producers that he chose to like work with on his album were incredible, and it was just like a perfect storm for him.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think they really strike what Iron was hot, and this wasn't a clout chasing album.
No,
he didn't do this. He did this because he felt like what was going on needed a voice to it, and you could feel that. And I think that's another reason why it worked. Like, because people could feel that shit.
Yeah.
I think I'm comfortable giving this album a 3 out of 5. Because even though it was timely, it's not my favorite Jeezy album. I think it was an important album though.
Okay. I give this album 4 out of 5 waffles. Like I said, I think that it's his best body of work. And I also think that like he essentially made a project that's going to, like, as long as we keep going through this bullshit, this album's going to be relevant, and people going to refer to it, and people going to understand it. And then I think the songs on there, minus the 4 that I do not like, I just think like just gives him like the edge with this project. I hope that sooner or later, like, he does an anniversary for this album. Like, I know TM 101, like, people want to pull out these Snowman t-shirts and like they love that project, but there's so many cringe songs on TM 101 that I just can't live with.
That's
I can't accept. Yeah, and it's a long project.
Yeah.
And like this, and there's 2 songs on there that were on Trap or Die that I think should have made the album that didn't. And I'm like, this would have been perfect.
Could have been perfect.
Yeah, like Money Over Here. Oh my goodness.
Oof.
Should have made it.
Okay. I see what you're saying. But yeah, overall, we would encourage you guys to, I think this is one of the albums that don't come up enough in Jeezy's legacy, even though it means so much to it. I think a lot of times when people talk about Jeezy, they stick to the TM 101, the Trapper Dies, and those are all relevant pieces, and it just speaks to his longevity too. So I'm not mad at that. But I think the Recession needs more respect on it. A 3 is not a bad rating. It's just, I think when I think about this album overall, the parts that I really love about it, I really, really love and I hold in high regard. The parts that I really don't care for, I'm like, I could do without this. And it just didn't age as well as it should have. But the overall message is really important for it. So if you're watching, if you're listening, I encourage you to check it out. Let us know what you think. I'm First Class Regg.
And I'm Taurian B.
And we're out of here.
We'll catch you guys next time. Dun dun.